PC. Alright. I did tell you earlier, like an hour ago, that an hour until I stream. So I did warn you. Sorry, bestie. But yeah, don't forget to take care of yourselves, chat. Look, Kath, you ducking idiot. It's 5 PM. You need to eat more. And up and go. Kath, go eat. Also, bro, you ducking idiot, bruh. It's 5 PM. You need to eat more than up and bruh. Thanks, Budspot. Publicly pulling myself out for real. Yeah. Good job. Well, we have some great stories that the community has written and would like to share. We'll also be reading Rainbow Factory afterwards, so people who do want to submit a story still have some time to before I begin reading Rainbow Factory. Until then, yeah. For now, I was thinking of reading my story out first, but I think I want to read a couple of yours first, chat, and then I'll get to mine. Because let's just say it's a it's a big one. Let's just say that. But yeah. Okay. Alright. You tired? Okay. Where are we? Let's see, which one is it? Sorry, I'm losing my mind. Writing. Alright. Get around the campfire, folks. Get cozy. Get all cozied up. Cause we're gonna be reading spooky stories created by the community, and I'll also be reading my own story again that I wrote. Yeah. I wrote a short story myself because I wanted the exercise. I'm not great at writing tension, but I hope that it turned out good. So yeah. I do my best. And I think we all did. I think I've had a little skim through everyone's stories to make sure I got all the trigger warnings. If I am missing any, I am so sorry. Again, if you need a break, take it. Alright? Alright. Alright, so Kef, are you still here? I was gonna double check if it was just the doll that was submitted for this one, for this particular event. I wanted to double check with you if the doll was just your only story that you've submitted for this event. I know you've submitted other stuff in the writing channel as well, but like not for this, you know? Just a doll. Okay. Okay, cool. Alright. Alright. So, trigger warning for psychosis. For this one. Again, if you need any breaks at all during this time, I highly recommend them. The doll. From the outside, she seems a normal girl. She's intelligent, articulate, and seems to be kind. But inside her something lurks, and she only shows it at home. There's writing on her walls, burnt into the back of her sister's mind. She screams and she cries, but only at home. When she goes for help, she puts up a facade, and that pretty, kind young girl appears. Sorry. I can read. Kind young girl appears. She lies through a smile, and she gets sent home, but the doll still lurks inside her, and threatens to grab the wheel. Nobody believes her family, because the doll hides so well. The doll inside her slowly consumes her until it's all she knows. The sparkle of her intelligent eye begins to fade. She knows she's trapped, and the outside world begins to see. The doll inside comes out to play, and the girl is trapped, lost, and locked away. That was well written, Kath. I just want you to know I am proud of you. And I'm proud of anyone who submitted, like, who was, like, brave enough to submit their own stories. I obviously haven't shared mine yet because I wanted it to be a bit of a surprise. So, yeah. I hate my own writing, but thank you. Aww, Kath. Alright. Billy, I don't think we're gonna have time to listen to the EP for your story, if that is okay. Like, it should be okay to just read the story, right? Although I do recommend listening to the EP, chat. How long is the EP, actually? I don't know. See, I'm like... Yeah. I just want to make sure. I love some of the other ones, but they aren't stream friendly or Halloween friendly. Understandable. I love some of the other bros, but they ain't bro friendly or bro friendly. Halloween. Thanks, Buttspot. You goaded for that. The EP's there for anyone else to listen. Okay. Alright. So, we'll just read the story. Alright, this next one is the story of Liv Corlin? Yep. That's an L, right? I can read. Yep. I can pronounce things. Okay. But yeah. Ooh, I guess, like, I didn't mention this, but trigger warning for, I guess, drugs in this one. I did not notice that one. Not really, like, it's just, yeah, just a mention of it, you know? I figured that I would put that out there. Okay. Yes, B, it's an L. I'm an L. I'm sorry. Anyway. Liv has been a very lonely person since her parents passed away. One night she was walking along the sidewalk and a grey van pulled up to her and kidnapped her. The people behind the abduction are the Private Narcotic Testing Association, PNTA. These people kidnap low-life people to test the new hardcore drugs that they create. The drugs that is forced into Liv is called oh my god, here we go. Scyllathetamine. 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 There we go. Yep. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know this is spooky stories and these are not the vibes, and I'm really trying. I'm really trying, guys. Drugs that is forced into Liv is called scyllathetamine. A hallucinogenic drug that screws up her perception of living things and makes them look, smell, and taste like something delicious and consumable. Example: muscle tissue looks and tastes like cotton candy, and blood looks and tastes like syrup. 7 horrible days of her being restrained and tested on until something major happened on the 8th day. PNTA worker 32 went into Liv's cell to ask her the usual diagnostic questions to see how the drug is affecting her. Every day they ask her the same questions, and every day has been the same response: silence. Liv just stands there, blindfolded and restrained, drooling for hours with not a single word spoken. Day number 8. 32 gets livid that Liv won't speak, so he snatches the blindfold off her to look her dead in the eye while asking her the questions. She looks brain dead and lost, her eyes filled with nothing but emptiness and spirals. 32 then goes to slap Liv in order to invoke her, but before his hand makes contact with her face, she leans forward and bites his entire hand clean off. He screams and falls to the floor while the other 2 workers, 19 and 21, rush into the cell to help. As all 3 workers assigned to Liv are in a cell, somebody presses a button to lock her cell door and unlock all of her restraints. She lets loose, feeding on all of their flesh and bones. The person who locked them in the cell unlocks it and seems to vanish without a trace. After an hour, the skelethamine wears off, and she starts losing her mind when becoming aware of the fact that she committed cannibalism on the workers in the PNTA. She makes a vow to herself: I will kill every single person involved in this hell of a place for doing this to me. Yo, 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 yo. And that's the end. For now. Yeah. Alright. I guess it's time for me. Okay. Because I don't want to read all the stories before reading my one. I want to kind of like work it in there. So. I guess it's time for me to share mine. I would like to note. Sorry, my cat just distracted me. It's raining outside right now, and my cat doesn't like being upstairs when it's raining. I don't know, something about being in my room, she just doesn't like it. Oh, okay. Get around, kiddos. Get around, little earthworms, little maggots. Or we are about to read The Intruder. Trigger warning for abuse in this one. Very heavily implied. And also a little bit of gore. It was a dark and cool night. I was home alone, or so I thought. I must have been 11, but it wasn't too unusual to be home alone if my mom went somewhere briefly. Oh my god, sorry. My PNG tuber mic is like picking up on the fucking rain. Way to ruin the illusion. Let's try this again. It was a dark and cool night. I was home alone, or so I thought. I must have been 11, but it wasn't too unusual to be home alone if my mom went somewhere briefly. I woke up from a terrible dream and sat up attempting to be steady. But I sat up quite dizzily, feeling groggy from just waking up. Imagine breaking up, what a refund. Fuck! I gotta stop breaking the fucking... Okay. Shit, I keep like fucking breaking the fucking immersion, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I swear next time will be better if we do anything like this. Alright. I'll try this again. It was a dark and cool night. I was home alone, or so I thought. I must have been 11, but it wasn't too unusual to be home alone if my mum went somewhere briefly. I woke up from a terrible dream and sat up attempting to be steady, but I sat up quite dizzily, feeling groggy from just waking up. I looked over at the book on my bedside table. Maybe some reading could calm me down, I thought. I turned on the bedside lamp, pull open my novel, when suddenly I hear glass shatter. I stayed still in my tracks, unable to move. Switched my light off and hid under my blankets in terror. I felt like a coward. I shut my eyes tightly when I heard footsteps thudding in my room's direction. The footsteps turned towards my mother's room instead. Confused, I slowly lifted up the blankets and snuck out into the kitchen, where I see the glass shattered. I walked slowly, following the glass and drips of blood? I wasn't too sure if it was. It led into my mother's room, as I thought it would. I peeked around the corner. I peeked around the corner of the door and saw it. A creature, not quite human, but not quite like any animal I've ever seen. It was twice the size of me, which wasn't too hard for being a child, roughly the size of an adult human. The creature reared its big head to look at me. I saw its face, sharp teeth, dark-colored eyes, and a big snout. I looked at its hands, claw-like fingers stuck out from the palms of them. It stared at me for what felt like an eternity, and sniffed, slowly raising an arm to strike a blow. I ran and screamed like I never had before, running to the other side of the house. The creature brought me down for a moment, clawing at my ankles. I squealed in pain, sobbing as it reached for my thigh. I scrambled away from the creature's nasty grasp and locked myself in the toilet. I turned away from the door, curled up, hands over my head. My eyes were sealed shut, just hoping it would all go away. My heartbeat quickened as it knocked on the door aggressively. Thud, thud, thud. My breathing quickened and shaken, but I felt so out of breath. Thud, thud, thud. "You're going to have to come out at some point," the voice of the creature screeched. The creature could talk, and I was terrified for what it was about to say. Thud, thud, thud. "There is no escape for you. Don't make me send you to your grandma." The voice sounded so strangely familiar. With each breath, more pain struck me in my back. I turned my head to look at my back and lift my shirt to reveal many bruises. I just blamed it on my clumsiness. "I bet you'd rather if I just disappeared," the creature called again. Curled up, I roll onto the floor, hugging myself, crying, letting myself get struck over and over as this creature continued to scream at me. And to think I let this happen to me over and over again, for years. So that was my little story that I wanted to that I submitted into okay. Now the next story. The next story is written by Barry. I don't know if Barry's in this chat right now. I know Barry wanted to make it to this stream. Ooh, Barry's offline. Okay. Well, Barry's not here right now, but I'm sure Barry will come back and look at the stream afterwards. Yikers. But, we have a story written by Barry. I'm glad that you enjoyed that story. I struggled to write tension. Reading that back, even, like, that was scary for myself to read back through. I was like, damn, the tension. It's a difficult thing for me to write. Like, tension is something I've always struggled with writing and, like, in stories, I feel like. But, like, I think it turned out great. You know? I'm so sorry, that was just so terrible. Yeah. Next one, Barry's story. Exit. I think we'll read it anyway. I'm not feeling good right now though, so I'm gonna head out for a bit. Oh good, I'm not feeling bro right now though, bro. Head out for a bit. Thanks, Spot. I love you such piss, Calf. Take care. Alright. Exit by Berry Blast. AKA my wife / piss. A cold cement room. Walls that ran so high that the light couldn't reach, causing the above to be nothing but an empty black void. The room was still and quiet. A drop of a pin could be heard. However, I have slowly learnt that I cannot be heard. My throat aches from screaming. I don't know how long I have been trapped within this lifeless room. The grey walls do nothing but taunt me. I continue to stare ahead of me, staring at the singular door on the wall. Its white paint is peeling, revealing the original brown color of the wood. The rusted knob was unable to turn due to the decaying of metal. I don't know how long I have been here. I have been here long enough to watch this door rot, but I have not been here long enough to die. Why didn't I open the door when I first awoke here? Is a question I often ask myself. I guess it was fear, but I will never truly know. I am now stuck in this room forever. A room that feels empty, even when I am in it. A room that brings shivers to my mind just by thinking about it. A room that leaves me alone with my thousands of thoughts. A room I can never leave. My legs shake as I stand up. I feel my legs slowly relearn balance as I try to recall the last time I stood up. My feet carry me over to the lonely door. I place my hand on upon the rough doorknob, twisting, pushing, pulling. The door doesn't budge. What did I expect? I place my other hand on the peeling wooden door. I use one hand to push and the other to turn. However, I soon learn it's pointless. The door barely moves. It's stuck in a single place. I take a few steps back, keeping my eyes on the door. I need to get out. I need to leave. With all my force, I run at full force, smashing my entire body into the door. Nothing happens. The door, yet again, doesn't budge. My eyes stay locked onto the door. I can feel my anger rise as I realize I may never leave this room. Screaming as loud as I can, causing my throat to go more raw. My knees fall onto the floor as the realization hits. I'm stuck. My vision becomes blurry as warm tears fall down my face. I just want to go home. I don't want to be here. I miss my home. I close my eyes, calming myself down. I soon fall into the darkness of sleep, the only place where I can be free, for at least a few hours till the pain in my arm wakes me up. My arm is bruised from slamming my body into the wooden door. I sit up, rubbing my arm. My eyes rest upon the stupid door that has been staring at me for however long I have been here. However, something is off. The door. It's open? I pull my aching body off the floor, running towards it. I'm finally free! I can finally go home! I push myself through the ajar door, collapsing to the floor as I enter the room it leads to. My smile fades as ahead of me, I am met with the same cement room. The only difference is the giant glass wall in front of me. Behind the wall is a crowd of people with all their eyes laying on me. I crawl towards the glass wall, tears forming on my eyes. They can help me! I get to the glass wall, placing my hands on it to help my balance as I stand up. Their eyes track me as I pull myself up. I try talking, but the rawness of my throat makes it impossible. I wave my arms, trying to motion them to help me out. However, they don't respond. They just stand there, watching me, their expressions never changing. They aren't going to help me. I'm nothing but their pure amusement. Step backwards, towards the door I entered from. I go to grab the doorknob. Keeping my eyes on the crowd, I drag my hand against the wall, unable to feel the familiar wooden door. I turn around, only to be met with a bare cement wall. The door is gone. Barry, I know that you're probably gonna look at this stream later. But that was really well written, bestie. I hope you know that. And yeah. I really like that story. Sorry. Alright. Wheezy, are you still here? I want to see if Wheezy's still here. Yeah? How close are you to finishing your story? If you're not too far from finishing, I can just wait before reading Rainbow Factory. Because we finished reading all of the submissions that we got. Not too far, but go ahead, not gonna lie, it's all good to me. Alright. We'll probably come back and read it after, not after stream, but after Rainbow Factory, if that happens to be the case. Keep in mind, this story, Rainbow Factory, is fucking... It's kind of long. Hang on, I'm trying to see... Oh my gosh, Jesus Christ. I'm, like, trying to load it all. I think it's, like... It says it's, like, a 30-minute read, but I will stop in between parts. To, like... speak to you all. Reading Rainbow Factory. Reading the Rainbow Factory. Yeah. Big warning on the gore on this one, fellas. Because somehow, if you don't know what Rainbow Factory is, the Rainbow Factory is, oh my god, you are in for a ride. Let's just say. So gather around the campfire, my little earthworms. Get your pumpkins carved and ready, and bring over your candy to eat, cause you're in for a wild ride. The Rainbow Factory. This is, I believe, the original one, but this one has been re-uploaded to Wattpad because I could not find the original one, the original, as far as I can tell, but it has been re-uploaded to Wattpad, so I'm reading it from there. I don't think anything's changed in it. I mean, that's when I looked. Okay, okay. Are you ready for Smile Pretty Creepypasta, chat? This is based off of the song, The Rainbow Factory, created by Wooden Toaster. So, yeah. Let's just go. Hold on, let me change the little trigger warning part. Trigger warning. Pony gore. I think that was all, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Alright. I will be taking breaks in between to like read any chat messages as well. Don't worry, chat. Shall I pull it up on the screen for you to read as well? For you to read along? Actually, yeah, I will. Why not? Remember when you made me a Rainbow Factory work and I had no idea what the fuck you were talking about? Yeah? Alright, okay. Existing. Okay. Oh, that's a big trigger warning. Woo! Okay. I'm gonna change the color of this one because you'll see why in a second. Once I get the window open. So then you guys can read along! Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. Hello, can I move this? Trigger warning, pony gore. Alright, let me just move myself to be bigger. Get around the campfire, kiddos, because you're in for a wild one. There's long been rumors as to how exactly rainbows are made in Equestria. While a great amount of Pegasi ponies are employed in the rainbow department of the weather factory, almost all of them do the low-end work. What's known is that great streams of spectra, individual colors of the rainbow flow through large grates and into vast vats. From there, workers carefully and equally mix the spectra into the coagulated rainbow pools that dot and run through the factory and surrounding city. Next, that mixture is pumped to the floor below, where other employees atomize it. Jesus Christ, I can speak. And store it until the active weather Pegasi deploy it in field. However, no one knows how individual spectra is made. Supplies are never seen being brought in, leaving not even a clue what goes into the rainbow. Tourists, when visiting the factory, are treated to an extremely foreboding and plain wall, with massive solid doors barring entry to any pony at any time. While most of the facility's various signs and architecture is bubbly and welcoming, the Rainbow Factory's upper floor was protected by harsh imagery of potential hazards and death. And the cloud wall was made not out of clean white of the rest of the city, but of a black, quietly thundering fog. To become an employee of the upper Rainbow Factory meant sacrificing any life outside those black walls. Workers are sworn to secrecy and forbidden from leaving, and live inside the facility itself. Those few who ever managed to make it out not in a body bag were twisted and disturbed, too damaged to ever bring themselves to talk about it. A lot of theories were proposed: dark magic from captured unicorns, chemicals, and environmental hazards that no sane pony would tolerate, and even thoughts of another unknown sister of Celestia's destined to create the spectra instead of raise a sun or moon. None of them could be farther from the truth. But a rainbow is easy once you get to know it, with the help of the magic of a Pegasus device. This is I just wanted to note, this is, I believe, a couple lines from the Rainbow Factory song. Anyway. Come on, Orion! We're gonna be late for our final test, Scootaloo called to a friend of hers. She was older now, in her last year of flight school. She, like all other Pegasus in the school, was terribly nervous of the final test. Those that passed were granted freedom into the world to find their cutie marks if they haven't yet, and become working ponies. A little known, or at least little thought about fact, was what happened to the fillies that failed their tests. While uncommon, one or two from every class generally didn't have it in them to perform the rigorous acts and maneuvers. Those that failed their tests were looked down upon in the worst ways, shunned and hated. Cloudsdale had always bred a form of nationalism amongst its occupants. If you weren't the best or didn't show the potential of being the greatest, you weren't allowed to be a part of the glorious collective. Scootaloo moved a little to the side as Orion, a tall yet fairly skinny pony, settled next to her. He fluffed his light brown feathers and gave a worried attempt at a smile as he stared around where he sat. They were sitting in a large open waiting room, onlooking the Colosseum, with all the other graduating Pegasi. Just visible in the distance was the factory. Orion glanced at it and gulped. What's the matter, Orion? You're afraid of getting a dead-end job on the snow line? Whoops, I can read. Orion chuckled a bit, then closed his eyes and sighed. No, it's just, I don't know. I don't think I can do this. What if I fail? What if I don't fail, but do just bad enough to still be disliked by everyone? I don't know if I can take being deported. Where do we even go anyways? Scootaloo gave Orion a friendly punch. No one knows, you dolt. And we're not going to fail. Everyone here is going to be fine. I know I will, at least pass, she laughed. Thanks to the tips from Rainbow Dash, I'm sure I'll be fine. Oh yeah, sure, that reassures me. That's actually just as, if not even more reassuring than the psychopathic hate every pony here seems to love to spread. Quit panicking, Scaredy Wings, Scootaloo replied. The only one here I think even might fail is that yellow pony with a dark green mane. She's the one who was out sick for that month, you know. Oh yeah, Orion remembered as he craned his neck. Craned his head in the other pony's direction. The one who had that bad case of hoof and wing. She looks pretty confident though. I suppose we'll see, Scootaloo trailed, turning to look at the factory herself. It gave her chills, not a fear, but pride. I hope I get some cool active weather job. Can you imagine? Everyone in Ponyville or Philadelphia staring up at me going, there goes Scootaloo, such an amazing flyer, and from Cloudsdale. There can be no doubt. She smiled in excitement, forgetting her attention for the moment. That would be something, I'll admit. Mind you, just coming from Cloudsdale, who wouldn't be in awe? Exactly, praise the flock, praise the flock. Places every pony. A massive buff Pegasus walked towards the entrance of the Colosseum. We're going to do this by name. Oh my god, I can speak. Adjudicators are on the east side of the field. Do not, I repeat, do not fly too far west. If they lose sight of you for any reason, you'll be failed immediately. Take deep breaths, stretch your wings one last time. The test will consist of 3 sections: weather clearing, agility, and finally recovery. Clear the clouds, fly through the hoops, and then fly to the marked elevation. Close your wings for at least 3 seconds. Any less and you'll fail. But keep in mind there's no extra points for extra seconds. Finally, recover before you hit the cloud floor. Understood? Any questions? The instructor paused and carefully glanced at every single pony in the room. Everyone's eyes were completely focused on him, and none were creased with confusion. Alright, Aurora Dawn, you're up first. Clear fly full complete. The yellow pony nodded and walked quickly up to the starting ramp with purpose. She stared at the watching judges, waited for a nod from all 3, then took off with powerful force. The ramp bounced slightly from the force of the takeoff. Every pony watched as Aurora quickly became. Ooh, my brain's gone woo because I've been reading so much. Jeez. Okay. Every pony watched as Aurora quickly reached the starting altitude, and then began a direct and purposeful attack on the positioned clouds. With expert timing and intelligent angles, the sky was soon empty of any moisture. Scootaloo and Orion watched with open mouths as they watched the first testy pull fast and tight turns. Blech, I can speak. Expertly shooting dead center through each and every hoop. Finally, Aurora pulled herself up to the proper altitude, hovered, and closed her wings. The group of students gasped as she started plummeting down towards the clouds and counted breathlessly. 1, 2, 3. They sighed as they watched her wings open in the correct amount of time, collectively holding that relief. Suddenly, Aurora's wings whipped upwards, and a group of students flinched in horror as they all heard a loud, hollow snap, only to be suddenly replaced by an unending piercing scream. Many, like Orion, shielded their eyes with their wings, as others, like Scootaloo, could only watch terrified as a blur of yellow, green, and red plummeted into a cloud with a dull thump. Wasting no time, the instructor walked forwards again as the three judges simply pointed down and started shuffling papers around. Yep. Yeah. Speaking loudly, as if nothing had happened, he called out again, "Daisy Fields, clear, fly, full, complete." Scootaloo and Orion stared, slack-jawed, as another pony gulped that... Oh no, it's reconnecting to chat. I'll give that a hot second. I hope you all are enjoying this. I hope you all are enjoying this. I have you know that I have never actually read the Rainbow Factory fic, but I definitely heard the song growing up, which was technically the original, like, where the original idea of this came out, you know? Alright, cool. It's reconnected. Oh, I need a drink. Even scarecrows need their drinks too. But hopefully, tomorrow, or next stream or whatever, I'll be back to normal, and I won't be just straw. It'll be great. It'll be great. Oh, sorry. I just saw it show me put in the speakers. It is kind of a goofy picture. I'm just gonna... Guys, I think that's kind of funny. Anyway. Oh, hi, Bella. You coming in to join a story? Hmm? Guys, Bella's coming to join around the campfire. What you doing? No, she's not coming towards me. She's just gonna go lay down. Okay. So goofy. Be goofy like that. Anyway. Scootaloo and Orion stared slack-jawed as another pony gulped, then walked forwards onto the path and took off. They turned back to the tuft on the cloud where Aurora landed and stared, as the wind blew fragments that were thrown up from the collision away. They saw the shivering yellow body attempt to move, only to collapse with a cry. Faraday spots. Yep, I think I read that right. Clear, fly, full, complete. Aurora struggled to walk, wailing with every step. Her legs weren't broken, she could use them fine, but it was obvious the pain from her wing joints and the loss of her potential life was crushing her. Scootaloo felt Orion shuffle uneasily, tears welling in his eyes, as a frown formed on his face. Holiday shine, clear, fly, full, complete. No one's coming to help her, Orion seethed through closed teeth. Scootaloo felt extremely sad for the yellow Pegasus, but couldn't see herself helping her. She would be failed herself and sent away, far away from Cloudsdale and any familiar place on Equestria, to a place where she and any other failed students could never stain Cloudsdale's reputation. It was a terrible shame, but Scootaloo couldn't fail herself. She couldn't fail her friends, and she definitely couldn't fail Rainbow Dash. Not after the care and help she had given her Not after the care and help she had given her Scootaloo's whole life. Scootaloo blinked the tears from her eyes and forced herself to watch the competing students. I'm struggling to read. One after another took off, successfully passed the test, and flew to the east gate under the judge's spot in the stands. That's all Scootaloo focused on. Pass the test, fly to the gate, live a happy life. Orion Solstice, clear, fly, fall, complete. No. What? The instructor took a step back. One leg left raised in the air. You can't just refuse your flight test. Get out there before you piss the judges off. No, don't even pretend you care about my future if you don't care about hers, Orion defied, unsure about himself. You say you want... I can read. You say you want to get me get a good life. And yet you let those fail suffer unbearable pain. Get the fuck onto that field before I fail you myself, the instructor shouted menacingly. Fine, Orion spoke sharply, before walking onto the ramp. He stared at the judges, waited for the individual nods, and the second they came, he took off. However, long before the starting altitude, he turned sharply and landed gently next to Aurora. She turned and looked at him, blood running down her forehead and sides, and tears streamed down her face. What are you doing? You'll fail like me. You'll be exiled. I'd rather be exiled from a place that treats ponies like this than live my whole life where... Oh my gosh. I'd rather be exiled from a place that treats ponies like this than live my life while others don't live theirs. Aurora smiled, happiness briefly replacing her sadness in her black and puffy eyes, until she stumbled again and intense pain flashed across her body. Orion leaned in close, using his wing to brace the yellow pony against himself. He stared up at the judges, beaming hate with his vision. They sat down, unaffected, and simply pointed down before looking back towards the ramp of the next contestant. Scootaloo stood shocked, hardly hearing her name called. She moved numbly to the... I can read! Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm good now. Scootaloo stood shocked, hardly hearing her name called. She moved numbly up to the ramp, never taking her eyes off her friend and the pony he sacrificed himself to help. After a brief moment, she shook her head, recovered her thoughts, and looked to the judges. Thoughts passed through her head as she watched them all nod. Oh, Celestia, what do? I can't let everyone I know down, but I'll never see Orion again. I hope he knew that risk when he did that. I'm sure he's thinking the same right now. Nori, hi, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. How you doing? We're currently reading the very popular My Little Pony creepypasta, Rainbow Factory, which was based off of a song, also with the same name. How have you been, Nori? She glanced at Orion, who wasn't looking at her. She took off, heartbroken. Instinct kicked in as the familiar rush of wind called her and blew her thoughts away. I'm doing good. That sounds interesting. Oh yeah. She stopped at the right altitude and then launched again, sensing and seeing every cloud, formulating a game plan. In a matter of a couple dozen seconds, the sky was clear. She did a quick loop in mid-flight, aiming for the first hoop. How are you doing? I'm doing well, thank you. We just read a bunch of the community's spooky stories that they all made, and now we're reading Rainbow Factory because obviously the stream's gonna be too short with just that stuff. You know? Anyway. Wait, hang on. Let me check how close this video is to ending. Okay, yeah, no. We still got like 10 minutes. 20 minutes, sorry. I was just checking the music. Anyway. She stopped at the right altitude and then launched again, sensing and seeing every cloud, formulating a game plan. In a matter of a couple dozen seconds, the sky was clear. She did a quick loop in mid-flight, aiming at the first hoop. With a powerful flash of her wings, She propelled forward through the first ring, and then the second, and then the third. Expertly turning and drifting, she curved in towards the second last ring, near the bottom of the field. As she descended, she caught sight of Orion and Aurora. Almost at the west gate now, Orion turned his head and smiled weakly. Scootaloo's focus shattered. Orion knew what he did. He cared about her. He'd miss her, and he'd never get to say goodbye. Scootaloo cranked into the bottom part of the ring, falling backwards several feet and hitting the ground. With a sudden intense flash of fear, she flipped herself onto her feet and began flapping her wings, levitating off the ground. Maybe that didn't count as a failure, she thought. I could still fly. There was a distraction on the field. Spun around to the judges. Three hooves pointed down. Scootaloo started crying there, tears welling up and blurring her vision. This wasn't right. This shouldn't have happened. None of it. Orion should have passed his test and cheered her on from the east gate. She shouldn't have looked at him. She should have focused on flying. Hello, Myth. How you doing? Welcome to stream. But there was no room for excuses. Defeated, she slowly hovered towards Orion and settled down next to him. She looked at him through her purple eyes. He looked back, offering a smile. You did a good job. Scootaloo dropped her head and sobbed. She then walked around Orion, lifted a wing of her own, and helped Aurora walk to the west gate. Before them stood a long, unlit hall, with only a cheap sign stuck to the wall notifying test failees to proceed down the hall. They waited, only briefly, to gather themselves and prepare for where they would be taken, and then all stepped forward together. Alright, here's some more. We got a little bit of more lyrics that I've thrown in here from the original Rainbow Factory. I just want to note that that is like referenced a couple times. Let's delve deeper into rainbow philosophy. Far beyond that of Cloudsdale's mythology, it's easy to misjudge that floating silly, with its alluring decor and social psychology. Against an empty carriage at the end of the lonely hall were three imposing ponies leaning in a disinterested and bored pose. One of them happened to look up at the—
With the power of our friendship and magic, we will spread love! Give hugs!
Cry praise!
It just so happens that that is okay. Very good. Good thanks. The weather was mean yesterday and was raining for like half the time. Me, my friends and I went trick-or-treating and everyone, including me, was wearing white. So yeah, oofed. Yeah, no, it was raining for me yesterday when I went trick-or-treating with Barry. Like, it rained a lot, like, quite a bit more towards the end, and geez, it was cold. It was cold. And it's been hailing a lot today. Like, I don't know what's up with the weather, but like, it has been so bad lately. Also, trigger warning for Ponygore. Against an empty carriage at the end of the, one of them happened to look up as the sorry-looking trio stumbled out into the open. They were on the bottom edge of the Colosseum, with the vast rolling hills and plains of Equestria visible far below. Hey boss, we got them worthless Pegasuses. The first one called to an even bigger pony on the other side of the carriage. I suppose it's get to work time, is it? Where am I being added? Sorry. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. I just need to get rid of this. This one because otherwise it will not stop distracting me. I'm so sorry, my little earthworms. Call a hot shot. There may be more too. No, I was the last student to go. Scootaloo spoke and sobbed. Orion could only hang his head. It's... He paused and then breathed deeply. determined to remain as strong as she could. It's just us three. Aurora's rings, they're broken. She needs help. Ain't that just a crying shame? It is. What's it to us? All the better she don't come flying back to us no more. Ooh. We may have failed our damn tests, but that doesn't mean we're not worth keeping alive, Scootaloo shouted in a flash of rage. She was determined to hold on to as much dignity as she could. Alright, sheesh. Hey Patches! Doctor her up before we head out. I don't want any blood on them seats. I just washed that thing. You other two, in the car. Orion and Scootaloo hopped into the carriage and got as comfortable as they could on the hard seats, but made sure to leave room for Aurora. As soon as a third of the large ponies finished bandaging her wings, Aurora carefully stepped into the vehicle and lay down on the bench at the back. Scootaloo inched closer to her and leaned down to talk as the door to the carriage slammed shut. The boss pony was inside the back, standing by the door, watching each of them. So, Scootaloo began quietly, trying not to speak too loud. You're Aurora. I'm Scootaloo. I'm sorry we had to meet like this. Any meeting of a friend is a welcome meeting. Aurora spoke gently, with sincerity in her eyes. We did our best. That's all we can say. That's all any of us can say. Who's to say that the city of the deported isn't a good one anyway? The thought struck Scootaloo as she considered it. No one was ever told about where the Pegasi were brought. Most ponies considered it to be some odd land, like where the zebras. Anyways, like where the zebras hailed from. Hey guys, how do you say zebras, huh? Is it zebras or zebras? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wouldn't start another debate. Anyway, that made Scootaloo realize something even more profound. Hey, if where we're taken is where Zakura's from, then there's got to be a way to get back. It's not as if we're banned from Equestria. Fluttershy, an old friend of mine, she's a Pegasus who lives in the Ponyville. She never passed flight school. She never took her test. They've never come and taken her away. Exactly, Aurora agreed with a nod. Orion overheard and offered his thoughts. I think the reason we're sent far away is because no pony from Cloudsdale ever wants to admit that someone who failed flight school could come from their city. What a fucking horrible place. Now that I think about it, I never want to go back. Maybe that's why no Pegasus ever comes back. They just don't like Cloudsdale. You goddamn worthless ponies can hardly call yourself Pegasus. Boss spoke from the door. It was swaying ever so slightly as the carriage was lifted and moved to an unknown location. Useless failures is what you are. No pony comes back from exile, regardless of reason. Can't even pass your goddamn test. You three make me sick. Scootaloo jumped up from her seat, lifted herself into the air with her wings, and dove legs fast at Boss. You shut the hell up about us! You have no right to treat others like this! Boss raised a hoof and backhanded Scootaloo out of the air onto the floor. I could treat you however I want. You hardly classify as ponies to Cloudsdale, or any of Equestria for that matter. Now sit the fuck down and shut up until you get to your destination. Where are we being taken anyways? Not like we can tell anyone now, and I'm sure as the deliverers you guys should know, Orion cautiously reasoned. Hell if I know! We hand this carriage off to ponies in suits, and we get a bag full of coins to keep quiet about the whole thing. It's how it's always been, for thousands of years. For 1,000 years. Yep. The three fillies huddled together again, scared of the unknown. They kept quietly as they waited through the unbearable trip, all lost in their own thoughts. Friends, family, loved ones, and pets, all will never see them again, and some would never find out why. An hour passed, and then another. Finally, the uncomfortable quiet was broken by a sudden lurch as the carriage stopped in its flight. Ah, Boss smiled. There's my stop. You ponies play nice now and have fun in wherever the hell you're sent to. The carriage door shuffled open and Boss hopped out with a gust of cold wind. It was night outside now. with hardly any light to see at all. Scootaloo stared outside and noticed another figure staring in. It was dressed in a black suit. I heard pony going, came as fast as I could furry. Well, yeah, I am a furry. You're kind of late to the news, Quombo. But no, I wanted to read this creepypasta because we finished reading the community stories, like all the stories that y'all submitted. I even wrote my own and read that. But now we're just kind of chilling here reading the Rainbow Factory. I'm still gonna call you a furry? Yeah, that's not new news. You've missed half the story, Quombo. You have, but like we're like it's great. It's all good. We haven't got up to the real scary part yet, you know? I mean, we're just about to get up to it, I guess. Yeah, trigger warning for pony core. Yeah, if anyone knows the Rainbow Factory, you'll pretty much know at least a summary of this story. And to explain this again, this is based off of the song Rainbow Factory, created by Wooden Toaster. Anyway. Girlie stared outside and noticed another figure staring in. It was dressed in a black suit. Its tail dyed an unnatural black that never occurred in nature. Its face was covered by a dark, loose-fitting mask, concealing its mane. All that was visible were rose-colored eyes, staring indifferently at the three ponies inside. They stopped on Scootaloo momentarily, unrecognizing, but she stared back. Guys, did we really gaslight for you? No, I was furry for a while. I was just in denial about it. I personally like to blame Bear for it because me drawing Bear's personas was kind of my persona was kind of my like awakening, I guess. I mean, I was drawing like fucking warrior cats, but you know, you get the idea. Hold up, I'm getting messages. I gotta respond to this first. Give me 1 second, chat. I just need to respond. I'm just waiting for this message, alright? Give me 1 second. Hey, Earthworms! Hey, Earthworms! How's everyone's day going? Before we, like, continue, how's everyone's day going? Taking a break from reading. Let's take a step back for a hot minute, because it's about to get wild. You're in for a ride, chat. Let's just say that. You're in for a ride. DB, next used to say I fully oh, I fully support billionaires, but I'm not one of them. Ooh, ooh. Fuck. Just like how I said, I'm not gay, but I support, and I'm not a furry, but I support. Anyway, let's continue on. Oh my god. They stopped on Scootaloo momentarily, unrecognizing, but she stared back. A second passed, the dark pony slammed the door shut, and the carriage took off once again. At least we can talk now, Aurora whispered in the dark. But they had nothing to talk about. But with all great things comes a great responsibility, that of Cloudsdale's weather stability. The carriage finally shuddered to a stop. The three desolate foals blinked their eyes awake, having all resolved to conserve energy for whatever came next. With a loud scraping noise, the doors shook and then swung open. Several more ponies obscured by masks and suits were moving around the area. Scootaloo blinked against the light from what she was seeing. They were in a cloud building. As her eyes adjusted, she noticed more details. Several of the blackened ponies were rushing around, some holding clipboards, some carrying briefcases and other important looking items on their backs. The complex was full of machinery and signs. Pines ran along the ceiling, and a loud whir ran in the background. Occasionally joined with other industrial sounds such as crashes and alarms. Scootaloo gasped. This place! The architecture! It's all so familiar! I think we're in the weather factory! Orion frowned. I can't be right? We were traveling for way too long. We've got to be far away from Equestria now, not to mention the city. Actually, Scootaloo may be right, Aurora mused. I noticed it. There are pony mafia in this universe. You're about to hear about it, right? You're about to hear about it. I noticed it was maybe the same amount of time from when we left the Colosseum to the place the carriage drivers swapped, and it was from the swap place to here, but I don't know, I'm confused. Maybe that's just a coincidence. Welcome, Yules, a large and powerful voice commanded. Several of the suited ponies moved to make their way for a deep, dark red Pegasus dressed in a white lab coat. You degenerates are probably wondering where exactly you are. Stupid fillies, you're in Cloudsdale, the Rainbow Factory to be correct. Allow me to show you around. Ooh. What's going on here? Do you expect to use us as slaves? Because I'd rather be deported, thanks. Scootaloo yelled. Orion and Aurora got off their seats and stood behind Scootaloo, nodding in agreement. Like you failures have a choice. You'll be here for the rest of your lives. Oh, I'm sorry, where are my manners? I'm Dr. Atmosphere. My degree isn't a medical one. I shall reassure you in case you're picturing some dreadful surgery going on behind the scenes. Strange how so many worthless Pegasus get that idea. No, my degree is in engineering. I'm one of the 4 cults in this facility. I'm sure you've all had the tour of the lower factory, no? The 3 ponies nodded slowly, unsure of what was going on. Excellent! Who could tell me where the tour begins? Orange spoke up first. Where the spectra comes from upstairs and it's mixed. Very good. What a pity you're utterly useless to the flock. You could have been a smart one. Dr. Atmosphere smiled sadistically and patted Orion on the head. But today, we're on the upper floor. Please follow me. Don't get too far behind, or one of my helpers will be forced to encourage you. With that, he winked at the suited ponies. With nods, 3 of them at the rear leaned forward and jabbed each of the Pegasuses with tasers, choking them to the ground. Dr. Atmosphere whinnied in laughter as they all yelped and fell, and continued into a soft chuckle as they all stood up again. Scootaloo blinked more tears from her eyes and shook herself again, trying to lose the tingling in her nerves. She turned and quickly looked at each of the suited ponies, catching each of them in the eye when she could. None of them were the rose-eyed pony from the carriage. Begrudgingly, she started walking behind the engineer. I'm in fact still alive, but I'm in immense pain, so I'll be back if you're still alive later. Yeah, we'll see. I'm getting tired from like reading though, because all this reading does make me tired. Not gonna lie. Look, I'm gonna just listen to the pony call while I draw. Alright. Have fun drawing, Myth. I hope you'll enjoy the reading of the story. You simply must be careful in this department, Dr. Atmosphere began in a tone not unlike the many tour guides in the lower floors. There's plenty of nooks and crannies and vents and vats one could fall into. Vents? Among Us? Among Us? Anyway. One sorry. One must be careful not to not hurt themselves. After all, you're all hopeless as it is. Any more so, and even we couldn't use you. He glanced behind himself maliciously as the three foals frowned in insult. They were walking down the series of halls with vibrating machines and assembly lines lining the way, occasionally ducking under low-hanging wires or carefully stepping over steaming pipes. As they walked, though, the building became cooler and cooler. All three were watching, sensing, looking for any way out. They couldn't see any. Now let me tell you a story. Cloudsdale is where the weather is made. Without us, the rest of Equestria would starve, freeze, drown, and generally be a not very happy place. That gives us a special honor. One that can't be tainted by incompetent foals like you. Hold on, let me just get this music up and running. No! Google Chrome did open! Okay, sorry. Let me just get this music up and running. There we go. How could the world look up and trust us if Pegasi like you are flying around wearing a Cloudsdale name? No. We needed to do something with all of you. And then we got a delicious idea. Anyway. And then we got a delicious idea. One day, over 1,000 years ago. Those were some smart ponies back then, I'll say. You don't find too many of them these days, but I digress. Here. Now, through these doors quickly now, before more encouragement is supplied. Dr. Atmosphere opened a heavy-looking door in a cramped corridor and offered a hoof inside. Scooterly stared up at him. He glanced at a suited pony. Scooterly and the others walked inside as he laughed again. Enjoy the rest of your pitiful life! And with that, he slammed the door closed. They all turned and looked at the big room they had been led to. It was fairly open and empty, almost like a theater room. At one end of the room, there was 6 square vats, each one nearly full of individual spectra. Above them was a peculiar-looking machine. From a central stack, 6 hoses broke off and led above each of the individual vats. At the top of the stack there was a single opening, red with rust, despite the rest of the machine to be shiny and clean. Even further above that was a fairly complex looking object, with chains and gears hanging off of beams and pipes loosely. Running even higher than the whole machine was a length of scaffolding, with doors on either side leading out of the room. Down on the floor, a small collection of defeated crying ponies sat, chatting quietly. Those suits there. Those are from that other flight school across town, Aurora informed, sounding shocked. And those other ponies sitting over there, see? I remember a trip we went on once with Levitating Acres private school. I remember them from that trip. So this is where all the failures go. Not deported, but forced to work forever? Orin sobbed quietly in exchange for helping someone. He had doomed himself and his good friend to a life of servitude. Oh my god. I can speak. Sorry, I just need to check something. I realized that my thing disconnected from chat for a hot minute. on my tablet. Anyway. So this is where all the failures go? Not deported but forced to work forever? Orion sobbed quietly. In exchanging for helping someone, he had doomed himself and his good friend to a life of servitude. Scootaloo reached a reassuring wing over and lifted his chin. She smiled at him, understanding his depression. At least we don't have to go through it alone, she cooed softly. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the group of ex-students. One pony from an unidentified school took off, headed towards one of the doors on the scaffolding. Immediately, two suited ponies launched at record speed and both clipped the flyer away with their tasers. The pony spasmed in air and then dropped like a stone, with an audible crack as he landed, and a violent burst of twitching. All the other ponies walked back, staring horrified at their friend. They watched hopefully for a long time. He didn't move. Some cried softly. Most others turned away, too far confused to feel any more emotions. I guess that option's out, Aurora quietly said to no one in particular. But you can't fly right now anyways, Orion questioned. That medic guy, Patches or whatever he was called, he popped my wings back into their joints and bandaged up where my skin tore. I won't be winning any races, but I can fly again. They slowly walked forwards and joined the group of ponies, looking at each other with understanding sorrow. Eyes front and center, you inept mules. One of the suited... Sorry, I am very good at voice acting, guys. Eyes front and center, you inept mules. One of the suited ponies shouted after the previous display. After the previous display, no one challenged that order and stared at the scaffolding just as one of the doors opened. Hi, Gabagoo. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Pass a letter. Oh god. Okay. So I gotta write one for you. In Discord. You want to pass a letter in Discord, and not in person? Okay. Yeah, I can sort that out. Give me 1 second. Well, not right now, but like obviously I'll do it after stream. You know. I also gotta send a personal letter to Basement still, and I also redeemed one, and I have the letter written. I just gotta buy the envelope, and I keep meaning to do it. I might try and do it this weekend. Anyway, enough distractions. How, you ask, are they up to the task? For which the answer is in a simple facility. Again, more of Rainbow Factory lyrics. A few official-looking Pegasi walked in on the scaffolding and turned to look down on the group with disgust. One of them stood onto a small podium set up in the center and began speaking loudly and clearly. By now, you've all clearly determined that you are not going into exile. There is no deportation. There never was. You are in the factory. You will never leave the factory. And while you may be called useless, that's also not entirely true. You're worthless to the flock as a pony. But you still have a purpose. Purpose to all ponies in this land, far and wide. You get to help us make rainbows. Beautiful magical rainbows. Doesn't that excite you? The mysterious announcer grinned ecstatically, taking in all the disgusted looks from every foal on the floor below them. I thought so. Maybe, I might allow it. Oh, okay. I thought so, he chuckled. It is just such an honor, you know. It leaves every pony entrusted with the task to be useless too. Now, do we have any volunteers? Again, every pony below glared with hate. One brave pony, a light pink one from Levitating Acres, walked forward a few steps, then yelled, "How could you ever get away with this? How could Celestia or even Luna know about this and tolerate it? It's slavery! It's torture! I think you'll find it's more than that." A second official pony walked out the shadows and up the podium. The pony was in a suit and masked. The first pony walked off the podium and allowed the second to talk. Scootaloo noticed that it was the rose-eyed pony from before. She watched more intently. The voice was familiar. 1,000 years ago, when Celestia banished Luna from Equestria and sent her to the moon, she was charged with 3 tasks. She originally was in charge of raising the sun and showering the land with rainbows, but with the moon being an additional task, she had to hand down the responsibility of rainbows. Celestia entrusted the Pegasi of Cloudsdale to make the rainbows for her. And from then on, for the first dozen years, we were given powerful unicorns to help create Spectra. Spectra is pure pigment, pure color. Everything is full of spectra, but you can't just harvest it. You can never separate color from an object, so it was made artificially with magic. The masked pony never took her eyes off the brave pink one. That is, until our top engineers made a breakthrough. They discovered an ingenious way to extract pigment, and it was so beautiful even a simple machine could do it. So it turns out I've lost my tablet's pen. I'll find it soon, hopefully. Oh no, man! I hope you find it. But it could be done with just anything. The conditions had to be right. What did those horrible people do? The pink Pegasus screamed, growing angrier by the minute. The mysterious pony whipped off her mask, unveiling more than her rose eyes. Her skin was a light cyan, and her mane was a gorgeous rainbow. Several of the fillies gasped. Scootaloo's knees weakened as it hit her. It was Rainbow Dash. Scootaloo's thoughts raced through her mind, and the room started spinning. It couldn't be. An evil twin, maybe? Perhaps some neglected sister? Rainbow Dash couldn't be this evil. She was her friend, her mentor, her only family, even if not by blood. How? How? How was all she could think? It had to be live ponies! Only in ponies where magic and spectra ran freely together. Rainbow Dash threw her head back and laughed maniacally. Only then could the spectra be separated, and it was such a beautiful idea, such a wonderfully horrible idea. It worked so well. We could create exponentially more rainbows of better quality with real spectra. And it finally gave us a way to prevent Cloudsdale from being tainted by all those horrible Pegasus which couldn't fly! Ha 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 ha! Ha ha! Scootaloo couldn't take it. While all the other ponies were exclaiming their disgust and fear, running and screaming for where they came in, backing off as soon as ponies surrounded them and herded them back into the center of the floor, Scootaloo couldn't take it anymore. I thought you loved me, she wailed, cutting Rainbow Dash's laughter short. Huh? She turned and noticed the amber orange Pegasus. I thought you loved me! How could you do this to me? I thought you cared for me! After all the help! All my life, you treated me like a little sister, and I treated you like my big sister. You were my big sister to me. You were the only family I've ever had, and you knew it! Tears were pouring down her face, obscuring her vision again. Her throat hurt from the crying and shouting, but she couldn't stop. After everything, you're just going to let me die? I tried so hard for you. She stared at the floor for a moment. Everyone was silent. Then Scootaloo looked up slowly, and while she couldn't see for the sadness in her eyes, she looked straight at Rainbow Dash, straight into those rosy eyes, past them, and deep into Rainbow Dash herself. Sorry, I had to get a drink. Thought you loved me. Rainbow Dash returned the look. Her eyes revealed no emotion, no love, no care, only apathy. Slowly, however, they glared at Scootaloo. Pure seething heat erupted from Rainbow Dash's mouth as she screamed in return. I did love you! I tried so hard for you! I taught you everything I knew in hopes you would pass your test! You had it in you, kid! I knew that what they did here. Ever since I performed that Sonic Rainbow, they approached me. They wanted to find more ways to make Spectrum. They thought that if I was capable of making rainbows, I could help them make its components. Well, they couldn't. But I learned a lot about this place. I'm the manager here now, you know. I worked my way up, in secret, pretending to only be simple weather control. How do you think I could afford that massive house over in Ponyville? How do you... She trailed, shaking her head, remembering her anger suddenly. I tried, alright? It was up to you to save yourself. You didn't just fail yourself. You didn't just fail Cloudsdale. You failed me! You failed me! And that's the worst thing you could have done. You aren't just dead to Cloudsdale now. You're dead to me. The room tilted as Scootaloo tried to comprehend what she was told. Her mind broke as she was totally unable to focus on anything. She stumbled slightly until Orion held open a wing and she clung to it for stability. Rainbow Dash noticed this and pointed and yelled with more fury. You can't have happiness! You ruined me! Now I'll ruin you! Whackers! The brown one there! Him first! Oh boy. No! Scootaloo, Aurora, and Orion all jumped. Suited ponies cornered Orion, pushing the other two to the side. He tried to leap out of the way to run, but one of the stallions spun around and kicked at him. The hoof connected to his shoulder, and Orion collapsed with a shout. Get back! Four suits yelled at Aurora and Scootaloo as they dragged the whimpering Orion to the front of the room. The giant machine at the back started humming to life, and the assembly of chains was lifted off the top and moved towards the floor. Everyone noticed they were shackles now, and the suits clasped Orion. I can speak. The suits clasped Orion into them. Braving a look up, he turned to Scootaloo. Don't worry, Scoots. I love you. Goodbye. Goodbye, Orion. Scootaloo gasped. I love you too. With that, the chains pulled tight and lifted the brown Pegasus all the way up to the gears. The chains grew taut and stretched each of Orion's limbs straight up and down. We find the machine works better if the ribs are broken, Rainbow Dash explained pathetically, as the chain spun around in opposite directions, twisting Orion. His screams almost covered and the echoing pops and shattering noises. One or two jagged bones tore through his side, and his yells faded to a slow, quiet rattle of breath. The chains untwisted, and then the shackles opened, dropping the shattered pony into the single opening. With horror, Scootaloo watched, her brain overcome with what was happening. Detached from all emotion, she noticed that the top of the machine wasn't rusty. It was blood! Blood! Just like what was being tossed up from the mangled remains of Orion. As the rest of his body was swallowed into the great machine, finishing with one lone hoof directed straight up, and then nothing was left. As the hoses over the green and red vats of spectrum started spewing their brilliant colors, Scootaloo's vision started to fade, and the last thing she noticed was Aurora's concerned, broken voice saying her name as Scootaloo flopped to the side. Here we go. More lyrics. In the Rainbow Factory, where your fears and horrors come true. In the Rainbow Factory, where not a single soul gets through. Scootaloo, get up! Get up! Now! Hurry, Scootaloo, wake up! Wake up! Scootaloo shook her head, briefly wondering where she was and what was happening. In a flash, it all came back, and she jumped to her feet. Aurora was shaking her, fright encasing her face. The suits were starting to approach the two now, tasers and shackles ready. Scootaloo, they're coming for us! What do we do? Scootaloo looked for an opening. All the doors were blocked, except for one, on the scaffolding. Suited ponies were slowly approaching, not rushing in order to prevent the fillies from freaking out. Fear was their tool. Scootaloo spun around, looking for an exit. There was only one, she realized. I have a plan, she whispered to Aurora. What's that? Clear, fly, fall, complete. Aurora nodded in understanding, her eyes widening. She repeated louder now so the other frightened fillies could hear. Clear, fly, fall, clear, fly, fall, complete. Got it. 1. Scootaloo started counting. 2. Aurora squeaked as she backed into Scootaloo. The suits were mere feet away now. 3. A collective shout reverberated around the room as every filly that could actually fly took off. The suited ponies gasped and fell back, unsure of where to go. There was too much confusion. A few of the faster thinking ones took off as well. tasers at the ready, aiming at the closest Pegasus they could take. Step 1. Scootaloo screamed, "Clear!" With her command, the failures started targeting the dark ponies in droves. Make sure your plate finds... What? Make sure your plate finds its way into the dishwasher or you will be hurt physically. My dad 2022. What the fuck? Pombo, are you good? Hooves connected with heads, and while some of the students fell lifeless to the floor, the majority of casualties were the suited ponies. Back to lurking, alright. Scootaloo and Aurora landed on the scaffolding right by the door and reached to open it. It was locked. Oh god, what do we do now? Aurora cried. We're still unclear, she shouted, turning around and bucking the door. Aurora followed her, focusing the brunt of her blows on the part of the wall where the latch would be. Rainbow Dash on the other side of the scaffolding recovered from her initial shock of the rebellion and noticed Scootaloo pounding on the door. Oh my god. Excuse me! Yep, immersion broken. Kill her! She screamed at the other important looking ponies. Kill her! She started to gallop towards the fillies, forgetting her wings momentarily. Scootaloo closed her eyes, pounding harder and harder on the door. It started to creak and splinter. Any second now, she thought. Rainbow Dash will get here. It's over. I'm doomed. She would have cried, but there were no more tears left. But nothing came. The door started to split from its frame now, leaning inward. It wouldn't be long until it was open. She opened her clenched eyes, peeking up at the scaffolding. All the remaining ponies were up there, pressing together, holding the enraged blue Pegasus and her cronies back. They wouldn't last long, however, even as Scootaloo watched. Twitching and yelping ponies were falling to the floor below, some even landing in the great maw of the Spectrum machine. The pink pony from Levitating Acres was there. She turned to Scootaloo and Aurora just as the door blew back into the hall behind. Fly! Fly! The pink pony demanded, with pain in her voice. She opened her mouth to speak again, but was cut short as the pile of Pegasus blew apart, with Rainbow Dash standing enraged in the opening. She was on her two back hooves, her front two rolling in the air. A small gash down her side leaked red, and her multicolored mane was torn in a patch. An unearthly howl passed her lips, and her eyes were drained of any sanity that was left. Come on, Aurora! Scootaloo pleaded as she spun around. We've got to fly! If we're going to live. I can't. This is too much. I haven't healed. Aurora looked at Scootaloo with wide open eyes. You go, Scootaloo. Tell everyone what happened here. Let them know. She glanced back at the wall of students, almost bare now, as Rainbow Dash's bloodlust tore them to pieces. Her blue coat was now glistening crimson, almost dripping as she ignored the need for live ponies. There would be more. Cardsdale could take a small shortage of rainbows. In another few months, there would be more classes, more failures, but for now, all she knew is that Scootaloo had to die, violently if possible. Decades of working for the Rainbow Factory had fractured her. She was the only one allowed out in public, and keeping the horrible secret with her since childhood had only led to psychological problems that no amount of therapy could cure. Scootaloo was her last link on sanity, and her failure that had deleted that. There was no logic in her mind anymore. No care, no capacity for compassion, only hate. Pure, concentrated, and evil hatred filled the gap her love for Scootaloo had once occupied. Rainbow Dash was no more, only this monster remained. I hardly knew you, Aurora. Scootaloo cooed softly into the yellow pigs beside her. Blech. I'm sorry. I never knew you until all of this. I'm sorry we had to meet like this, and I'm sorry we have to part like this. She sniffed. She had found more tears. Any meeting of a friend is a welcome meeting. Aurora reassured. Now you heard the other party. Fly, Scootaloo, fly. Goodbye. Goodbye, Aurora. With that, Scootaloo levitated and spun around, looked into the yellow pony's eyes one last time, and launched down the cramped corridor. She had no idea where she was going, but any chance at freedom was one she had to take. Aurora blinked a couple times, standing in front of the door. Rainbow Dash would have at least one obstacle in her way to Scootaloo. The blue pony tossed the last of the other students over the scaffolding and slowly walked towards Aurora. How cute. You think that you, a useless broken pile of manure, could possibly stand in my way? You really make me laugh. None of you can compete with the awesome power I have. Love can overcome all evils in this world. Aurora straightened herself in rebellion as Rainbow Dash stepped in front of her. Aurora stayed in front of Dash, barring her entry down the corridor beyond. Well then, bitch. Let's see if love will overcome this one. And with that, Rainbow Dash grabbed one of Aurora's bandaged wings and pulled, tearing it off her completely. Aurora collapsed to her knees, grinding her teeth in horrible pain, but she didn't scream. She wouldn't give in to Rainbow Dash. Rainbow grabbed her other wing and dragged her kicking with and moaning down the corridor, down to the center of the scaffolding. She lifted Aurora up by the wing, laughing quietly to herself as she looked, as the look of intense agony appeared on Aurora's face. Rainbow Dash took to the air, bringing the squirming yellow and green pony with her over the top of the machine. With a squeak of evil laughter, she jerked at the wing in. She jerked at the wing in her hoof. It too disconnected from the now convulsing Pegasus, and Aurora fell. She landed headfirst. The door on the scaffolding closed with a gust of wind, and as the machine began pumping out the brightest greens and yellows it had ever produced, and there was no one around to see it. Scootaloo glanced backwards momentarily, her heart pounding. The noise of the constant thump, thump, thump drowned out any other sound in her head, her ears throbbing along with it. The corridor was just like the one that led to the theater room, cramped with dozens of obstacles jutting out at random intervals. Straight behind her, maybe 500 meters now, the bloody mare that used to be Rainbow Dash was cruising along herself. Both Pegasi were completely straight, hooves forward, and wings beating at an impossible count, one trying to escape, the other to capture. Scootaloo looked forward again, focusing on what lay ahead of her. That's all that matters, she thought. What's ahead of me? There's no changing what's behind me. Ignore it. Focus. For the second time in as many days, a flood of instinct overtook Scootaloo, and despite the terror she felt in her body, the sorrow that had surrounded her, and the evil behind her, her worries melted away, and the thought of flying encased her very being. Down under wires and pipes she ducked up and around various workers whose complaints and shouts were ignored, only to be repeated momentarily as the raging pony behind collided with them. Her body doing the flying, Scootaloo's thoughts turned to escape opportunities. She whipped around sharp corners at impossible speeds, zipped up and down countless sets of stairs, trying to shake her murderous tail, but to no avail. She contemplated every nook and cranny she passed, briefly considering hiding. She stuck that idea down. As insane as Rainbow Dash may be, she was still too smart to overlook any possible spot Scootaloo may be. But there, ahead of her, Scootaloo thought she found a solution, a garbage vent of some kind, sticking out from the wall, down to the floor below. Momentarily, she gave thought to where it may lead. Whether out of the factory or into some incinerator, she couldn't tell, but it was probably worth the risk. She snuck one last glance behind her to make sure the unstable mare was far away enough. Rainbow Dash was paying no attention to any hazard as she sought her prey, carrying through electrical wires and ricocheting off heating pipes. going through any obstacle rather than around it to save time. But the collisions had slowed her down enough to give Scootaloo a chance. She slammed to a sudden halt over the open vent, hoping for her life. "Oh," she muttered, closing her eyes and her wings, resisting the urge to start flapping immediately. She counted silently to herself as shadows rushed past her closed eyes, hoping for the best of where this vent lead. 1, 2, 3. She opened her eyes and her wings and looked up, hovering. Rainbow Dash was up above, looking down into the vent. Her eyes were buggy and twitched. Her eyes pounded on the edge of the vent. She was too large to follow, the filly having barely made it in herself, but then the anger in her face vanished, only to be replaced by a malicious grin. She started laughing again, the cackle echoing down the vent and reverberating in Scootaloo's mind. "You moron! You never did have a good sense of direction," she teased, laughing again. Scootaloo finally looked down, getting her bearings. "Oh no," she squealed. It was in the theatre room. Only by now it was full of suited ponies circling her. Their masks' faces seemed to be grinning at her as Rainbow Dash shouted orders down the vent. Don't let her die! I must do it! Subdue her! Capture her!" She whinnied in glorious victory as the suit shocked Scootaloo with a taser, and as her limp body began to fall from the air, caught her and brought her to the floor. Scootaloo blacked out momentarily as the electricity passed through her, but she came to lying on the cold cloud floor, metal shackles preventing her from moving. She struggled to get free. Blech. She could hardly shake. The chains lifted her slightly, bringing her small body eye to eye with a Pegasus in front of her. The pony was a deep blood red, glistening in the artificial light of the factory. The mane had small spots of glorious colors of the rainbow, but was mostly the same red color as her coat of fur. Chunks of skin were missing from small spots, and her hair was ripped in some places, old patches of skin in others. The only clues Scootaloo had as to who this used to be were the rose irises focused on her. Any final words, you miserable worthless... Whoa. Let's skip over that one. Scootaloo brought her chin high, still demanding even the tiniest fraction of dignity. "You have beautiful eyes," she cooed softly, yet clearly. And that's the end of the Rainbow Factory! That's the end. Let me get rid of the little trigger warning. Because we're done reading. Oh, okay. How did we think of... What did we think of that, huh? Isn't it such a great story, guys? There's a couple of other My Little Pony creepypastas that would be great to read on stream. Like, there's this Halloween-themed one called The Candyman. It's not as popular as, like, Cupcakes or The Rainbow Factory, because Cupcakes and Rainbow Factory are, like, obviously the most popular ones. But The Candyman seemed like an interesting one. And I'm like, man, maybe I'll give that one a read. Anyway. I suppose it's time that we end up here. So, that being said, let's end with a perfectly fitting song. And let's see who we have to rate as well. Why am I not logged into Twitch? Hello? Says I'm not logged into Twitch on our project, but that's okay. There we go. Let's see, who is live? What, someone playing Stardew? What, Jean who's playing Minecraft? Oh, wait, someone else is reading Halloween stories. Halloween bedtime stories. Yeah, I think I know who we're rating. Let's start this from the beginning. Alright, chat. Now's the time that we end. I love y'all / piss. And I appreciate y'all for being here and joining me for this stream. And thank you for all your wonderful submissions. Y'all make me so proud of how confident, like, I'm glad that you guys were confident enough to send your submissions and everything. So thank you. Thank you for all the submissions. Go give some love to Best Dad Tuber. Raid 1 for those who are not subbed. Raid 2 for those who are. Thank you all for joining. It's been a wild afternoon. Reading all your stories was great. Then reading Rainbow Factory. I'm glad that we did that. That was great. Next stream will likely be tomorrow because, yeah. We might even stream earlier tomorrow. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, as for now, love y'all / piss. See y'all in the next one. Goodbye!